everybody. This is episode 814 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And this is the first episode of 2025. We're going to grade the Atlanta Falcons 2024 season. I'm not going to give a full recap, but I am going to give you my thoughts and opinions on everything that happened from my perspective. And hopefully you can give me some feedback on what you think. I've been looking at the sentiments of a lot of people since this past game where the Falcons lost to the Panthers. And a lot of people want Raheem Morris fired. A lot of people want Jimmy Lake fired. A lot of people don't like the direction that this season ended because we started so high. When you was looking at 6-3, you were, 3 games above 500. You was on your way from running away with the division. You beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers twice. And you were just ready to roll. You were just ready to roll, and you was ready to go. And I was along with for the ride. It was great. I absolutely enjoyed what I seen. And then Kirk Cousins pretty much fell off a cliff. I mean, his performance wasn't that good, and we had an issue where people been wanting Michael Penix since that second game that Kirk Cousins was not the guy. And I think we waited 4 games. I can't remember, but by then it was a little bit too late. Michael Penix did come in for the last, couple of games of the season, and last 3 games of the season, and he looked pretty good. We played against the Giants. He looked pretty solid. Phenomenal playoff atmosphere like game when we played against the Commanders. He played well then. And then when you look at this last game when he went toe to toe with the Panthers, Bryce Young. And like I said, he looked great. The problem is the defense let him down, which was another issue with the Falcons going into the end of the season. You saw them as Kirk Cousins were falling off. The defense was actually stepping up. And then at the end of the day, it kind of, went back down, and the defense just really wasn't it. And people want some of these guys in personnel to be fired. And I don't blame them. I really don't. I mean, this was a season where you should at least win a division. At the very least. There's no other way around that. And I feel like Raheem Morris kind of let us down, especially when you go back to the Commanders game and you had, a situation where you could have slowed the game down and possibly won that game. And like I said before, all this other stuff that happened prior to that was water under the bridge. I didn't really worry about that stuff. When it came time and we needed to slow this game down for Michael Penix, and you literally let 20 seconds go off the clock when you could have won that game against the Commanders, and to be quite honest, you probably would have had a better chance of making the playoffs and winning the division. Even though knowing what we know now with the Panthers game, it probably would have been all for nothing anyway. But like I said, you were in a good position at that point. And that's where everything just started to fall apart. Everything looked good at that point, but everything just started to fall apart when Raheem Morris did not make that decision to call the timeouts. And then you notice a total contrast when it came to the Panthers game. He was calling timeouts like crazy before half, if you haven't noticed it, if you didn't watch the game. But looking at everything overall, I just don't want to really dwell on, all the small things that happen. Because I don't want to, linger this situation much more longer, because it is now the off season and we need to go ahead and start looking into getting better overall as a team. I just feel like that Raheem Morris may not be the guy that can get this team over the hump. Yeah, you won one more game better than you did last season. But to be honest, you had a much better team that you had last season. You had a team that was a little bit more experienced. You had some players that was implemented into the team that was, better than what we had last year. And you only garnered 1 win. And just for that, I give this entire 2024 season, I will give this a D, just a regular D. I'm not even going to give it a D+. I'm going to give it a D-. This was a D. And, I would give, credit for drafting Michael Penix. I did like what I seen I did like what I see out of Rukaroro when he did play. I mean, you saw some flashes there, but outside of him, and the only other rookie that actually made a difference was Michael Penix. As far as the other transitions, Matthew Judon tried to come on late and be the player that we thought he would be, but that fell short. The Justin Simmons situation, we thought him and Jesse Bates was going to be like really a problem in the backfield, and they were for a couple of games. But the only time you really called Justin Simmons' name was when he picked off Pat Mahomes in that one game where, it was like almost another playoff, type of atmosphere. But after that, you didn't hear anything from him, since then. And you look at everybody else that was on the team outside of that, on defense, I would say, nobody really stepped up. I mean, AJ Terrell had a couple of good games, one against the Panthers earlier this season, another one against the Commanders that as well. And he was very quiet throughout the season, where it was like, really, you didn't know that he was doing well because his name wasn't called. And usually when a cornerback name is not being called, it usually means that they're doing the right thing. So when you look at everything that I see here, I don't see them getting better than a D. Before I get out of here, I want to talk about the offense. Everything pretty much revolved around the quarterback situation yet again. You saw why the quarterback position is very important last year with Desmond Ridder. We overcorrect for that and get Kirk Cousins and double down and get Michael Penix, which was, hindsight of 2020 was a very good move, because now you got a quarterback that can lead you into the future. Because if we just had Kirk Cousins, and let's say we still had Taylor Heineke as the backup, you're probably looking at a team that probably would have had the number 1 overall pick this season. Going into the next draft, you probably would have had the number 1 overall pick, because it was just that bad. Once Kirk Cousins fell off, you bring Taylor Heineke in this situation. You saw how that happened and what happened last year. And that was, was not necessarily the coolest thing in the world. So, with that being said, that Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and you even saw, Tyler Algier absolutely does his thing. And the offensive line actually played pretty well. So the offense itself, outside of the quarterback situation, was absolutely, on point. But once again, it shows you how important the quarterback position is in the NFL. And once Michael Penix got in, you saw how the ball was moving. You saw how well the offense played. And unfortunately, it just wasn't enough, because the defense started to fall apart. The defense is the biggest liability. You got a defensive-minded head coach, and you looking at him and Jimmy Lake like, what the hell is going on? That doesn't compute. I would not be surprised if they go all in on defense this upcoming draft, and probably in free agency as well, because you have to get something going on the defensive side of the ball. Don't get me wrong. Offense could use a little bit of work too. I think if anything offensively, you would want to get another offensive tackle, because I think, Jake Matthews, he did play well, but you're starting to see a little bit of sign of age. Probably somebody for him or Caleb McGarry. Both of them are okay, but you're starting to see a little bit of fall off. And I really would love to see a slot receiver. You get a slot receiver with Drake London and Darnell Mooney, a solid slot receiver. Penix is going to have a field day. Defensively, you're going to have to get a cornerback number 2. You're going to have to get some linebackers. You definitely going to have to get a pass rusher. And I'm not sure if we're going to be looking at Justin Simmons again. Do you put Richie Grant back on the field? Do you even look at DeMarco Helms? Do you look at that? So it's a lot of changes that need to be done to upgrade from that D that you have as a grade to at least get it anywhere higher than what you have. But D is the grade. I feel like that is suffice. I don't think that this team has did anything that puts the team in the right direction. Definitely defensively. Offensively, I think they're going to be okay. I think they, based on last year to this year, I think they've done much better, as far as offense. You got the quarterback, Bijan Robinson is still around, Tyler Algier. You got the offensive line. you got the receivers. You could really just add another receiver to be in that slot for a 3-man problem, on the outside. And I don't know what to say about Kyle Pitts. I'll probably talk about that at a later time, because Kyle Pitts is, he didn't play too bad in the last couple of games, but we got to realize that he should be outputting more production than what he has. I understand he was injured in year 2, but this year saw a little bit flashes here and there, but it is not looking too hot that people have confidence in him at the end of the day. But all that being said, D is the grade. I'm going to get up out of here, and we'll just evaluate and go forward to whatever that we see going forward with this team, Georgia Southern as well. And that's basically how it's going to go. Very disappointing season for the Falcons, all things considered, but we'll see what happens going forward. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think when it comes to the Falcons. What is your grade for the 2024 Atlanta Falcons? I feel like they got a D. They didn't fail. I know some people may feel like it's a failure, but all things considered, knowing that some things that was a little bit beyond coach's control, like the fall off of Kirk Cousins, kind of give them the benefit of the doubt there. But you also can hold their feet to the fire because they waited too long to put Michael Penix in. And so it's a little bit of give and take, but I really feel at the end of the day, we're probably looking at a D for a grade. If you feel like you have a better grade or a different grade, let me know in the comment section. I'm going to get up out of here. I could be found on Spotify, Apple, also YouTube and Rumble, and what else? Podcast Addict as well. You can catch me there as well. But I'm going to get up out of here. Y'all have a good evening or morning whenever you're listening to this. And I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, y'all, I'm out. Peace.